Alright, once you have all of your holes punched, then you want to select your yarns or threads that you're going to use. I like to combine a variety of different threads, embroidery floss, crochet thread, just general different types of decorative craft threads are nice. Use a heavy needle, and you're going to just run the needle through all of your pages at once, the top hole, and the length of yarn that you use for this book it was about 9 yards that I needed. I ended up with some extra left over, but I always like to have extra just to be on the safe side. So I'm just going to keep pulling this until I get near to the end of the length of yarn. And then I like to keep some extra so that I can do a bookmark and just, have some options with that end. So I leave a little extra. And then here what I will be doing is creating a slip knot. So you just wrap the yarn around your finger, cross it, and then push it through like that. Okay, you want the knot to be able to, the loop to be able to get smaller and larger to slide on the end of the yarn that is going into the in through the hole rather than the loose end. Okay, so if I do it the other way and I have the slip knot with it going through the loose end, then what ends up happening is then it's pulling this way. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to pull and loosen up from this end. I want to be able to tighten it from the long end of the yarn that's feeding through and continuing on. So you want to make sure that you have created your slip knot with that happening. Alright, so the next step, this is fairly easy. I would say more than anything it takes a while to complete the process, but the actual steps are rather easy. So you're going to put your thumb and your index finger through the loop of the slip knot. You're going to grab the yarn that's on, so I've got the first page here, and the yarn that's coming out on the other side of the page, I'm going to grab that and I'm going to pull it through to create a second loop. And now what I need to do is I need to pull, and I'm pulling from the yarn. I want to be careful that I'm not damaging the hole, so I don't want to be yanking against the paper at all, but I'm basically tightening up that loop of the slip knot as tight as I can get it. Now this is loose, so now what I need to do is I need to just pull from this next loop that I've created to tighten up. So it's just right nice and tightened up to the page. Okay. And then we're going to repeat that process again. Fingers through the hole, and I'm just going to tighten this loop up a little bit so it's not so massive. I'm going to pull the next page up, and I want to make sure I'm only getting one page at a time. And then I'm going to grab the thread, pull it through, tighten the loop, and then secure it around the page. You want to make sure, it's really important to make sure that you're tightening each of the loops up so that you're getting a nice consistent size for each of your chain, each link in the chain. You also want to make sure that you're getting the pages, the yarn that's wrapping around the pages pulled tight, but not so tight that you're putting any stress on the holes on the pages. So you want it to look like this, and it should start to flip. Okay, so we're continuing the process again. Fingers through the hole. I'm going to make the hole a little smaller. Pull up my next page. And when you're doing this, it's really, really important that you make sure that you're not accidentally grabbing 2 pages at a time, because that will create a, it won't turn out correctly. Your pages won't turn correctly. You'll end up with 2 pages stuck together, and there's really no way to fix that other than to just undo everything back to that point that you left that at. So then here I am beginning to get the chain. So I'm going to make my loop a little smaller, pull up my next page, kind of get it in place. Positioning it in place sort of helps. You want to kind of line it up with your other pages. And then, oops, pull the yarn through, and then tighten it, being careful. You want to be careful that you're not putting any stress on the paper. You don't want to end up tearing any of your holes that you've punched through your paper. And this is another reason why, now if you look at this, you can see that this chain right here, this link in the chain is a little bit looser, and I want to fix that before I move any further along. So I want these to all be consistent. Okay, that's a little bit better. So the fact that you're working through each page like this is one of the reasons why you want to have heavier paper, and you also want to keep these books pretty small as far as the number of pages that you're using, because it is, you know, kind of a longer process to get these all connected. Pull through, get that loop a little smaller, get your next page. Be careful that you're not getting more than 1 page at a time. Grab the loop, pull it, tighten up your length of the chain. Okay, so I'm going to continue this until I get to the end of the row. And as you're doing this, you'll find your own method of how to hold the yarns in your hand, and how to pull and tighten the chain, the link, and tightening the yarn around the paper. That's something that you kind of get a feel for it after you do a few of these, and it'll start to go a little bit faster. But this is definitely something that takes time. It's not, you know, something where you're going to be mass producing these types of books quickly. This is a very handmade process. And that's one of the things that I really like about it, is that it is, you know, really your work is showing in the finished end product. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and finish this and